Greetings and welcome to the Healthy Sales Chick Show. I am Nancy White, the host of the Healthy Sales Chick here on Win Win Women TV. And as my dear friend Paula Fellingham, the founder of Win Win Women TV, always says, we welcome you with open arms and open hearts. Here we love to talk about our healthy mind, our body, and our spirit. And we all know that if we don't nurture all three every single day, one of those areas are going to start saying, excuse me, you forgot me. So we love again to find different ways that are all natural and to be able to build us up and just to continually nurture that mind, body, and spirit. I love having amazing guests, and I will tell you, this beautiful woman that I have this evening to be with us, she is, when I read over her bio and when I met her, I thought, oh my goodness, she has gotten so much knowledge, wisdom, and experience, and she's using all that to empower other people's lives. But Ariann is a beautiful gal, and I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome, Ariann.
Oh, thank you so much, Nancy. It is my pleasure. I'm delighted to be here with you and your audience today.
Oh, well, we've got a lot of fun things to touch on, and I'm going to encourage everybody too to get back in touch with you, and we'll share that later on how they can. But it is something that we were talking a little bit before we even got on about people's choices and the people's actions and people wanting things. But we know that everything starts in our mind, it gets in our heart, and before we even take action. But just a little bit about our discussion tonight, we're going to be talking about generational trauma, ancestral burdens, and healing family issues. Boy, is that so needed in our world today. And also, we're going to talk even about having control over our genes and our life path. Yes. And the science of epigenetics. I love that word, epigenetics. That's my southern accent. But it also reveals how we can change the DNA that triggers when what was inherited. But a
Mhm.
little information about this beautiful, gifted lady. She is an author, international healer, speaker, teacher, ceremonialist, and a shaman. These are all things she's going to pronounce some of this too. Akashia, record reader,
Akashic.
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 Thank you, Ariana.
Okay.
And also, she's dedicated to helping others clear ancestral burdens and find health, happiness, and love. And that's what every human being needs and wants and deserves. Ariane, she also carries the profound subtle energy of an elder advisor, wisdom carrier. She is part Cherokee. I love it. I've got a little bit of Blackfoot Indian in me, but by her heritage, and she's also a primary practice is an ancestral lineage clearing. Whoo, she's got so many things. And wait till you hear just a little bit about all of her publications, but she's an author of an Amazon bestseller, Healing Family Patterns, Ancestral Lineage Clearing for Personal Growth and Changing Our Genetic Heritage, Creating a New Reality for Ourselves and Future Generations. How powerful that is. And Ariane is a contributing author to the #1 Amazon bestseller, Yoga for the Brain. I love yoga, but especially we're going to even touch on that if we have time about yoga for the brain. Words of wisdom, the ancestrals within, and discovering connect with your ancient origins. The ancestors within, again, volume 3. I'm telling you, we could go on and on and on, but I want to talk with her. So she's also been part of an international women's anthology. And you know what? You're just going to have to meet this beautiful woman. So, welcome again, Ariana. And I love asking this question. What was it that led you to this current profession?
Oh, well, I have to say, I have been meditating for, about 40 years now and studying metaphysics, studying energy healing. And it wasn't until there was a huge family crisis that I found that there were no tools for me to help clear it and help to heal it. Nobody in the family was talking to each other. Everybody was blaming each other. You know how it goes. And that leads to family estrangement, which was just breaking my heart. And of course, I'm the family peacemaker, right? I'm the one who soothes ruffled feathers, who gets people together and kind of works out resolutions for things. And I just couldn't do anything. And so what I did is I went into a meditation one night and I asked Spirit to help. I asked Spirit to guide me and lead me to something that would help heal the family. And what came up is Spirit led me on this journey to my ancestor who lived 450 years ago. And that was during the time of this great conflict in religion and in women's roles and men's roles. You know, the men were taking over the property, taking away power from the women were resenting it, and a curse arose because the women wanted to protect their children. They wanted to protect each other. And so they decided that they were going to create this barrier between themselves and men. And this followed down through the generations and morphed into this terrible pattern of abuse and neglect and abandonment, and caused all kinds of domestic problems in the family. And that's what led to the family almost dissolving. So I went back to that ancestor and I said, look what happened. Help. What can we do about this? And she just was so devastated that that had happened that she decided to change the path that was taken. And so we changed the energy in her lifetime 450 years ago so that this never occurred. And instead it was resolved. And I brought that energy back into the present and just sent it out through the family. And now it didn't happen overnight, but within a couple of years, everybody was talking to each other. There were no severe tensions, problems between each other. And now I have to say, all of us get along. We get together for holidays and family reunions. Everybody's talking to everybody. And that pain, that abuse, that domestic issues is gone.
That is
And
incredible. Mm-hmm.
yes, it was huge. It was huge. So
Well,
that's how I started it. And then I kept going, well, where else can I use this?
mm-hmm.
So not only did I find that it was helpful when there was family dissension, I also used it in family health issues because so many of our health issues, doctors, scientists have said are genetic and can't be changed. And my response is no, our ancestors don't want us to be sick. Our ancestors don't want us to have the physical, emotional, mental, and financial problems that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started using ancestral lineage clearing to clear health issues like diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure and things like that. And, doctors are going, you can't do that. It's not going to work.
It
So
won't
let me tell
last.
you another
Yes.
short story, a little short story here. Uh, heart disease is generational in my family. My mother died of a heart attack My brother has 4 stents in his heart. I have another sister who had severe heart attacks in her 40s and early 50s. And I went, wait a minute, this has got to stop. This has just got to stop. So I followed the ancestors' path back to the original ancestor where the heart disease started, and discovered that it started when a warrior lost his wife and his family and had a broken heart. And he died of a broken heart. So we gave him another choice to live his life differently, to live it whole and healthy and loving. And I shifted the energy, brought it back here. Since that time, there has been no heart attacks in the family. No one else has gotten sick. My sister is known as her cardiologist miracle patient. And no one else in the subsequent generations has come up with any of these issues. So, this is really powerful work.
It is, Ariane. And that's one of the things that, people think about, it's really not real, but, we are created mind, body, and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And all that is just, they go together. I mean, it's just like you cannot separate them. And so um, one of the topics that we were going to talk about, you just did a perfect job about, generational trauma and ancestral burdens and healing family issues. And what an exciting testimony that you've just shared. So my question too is, do people have to be willing, or do people come and seek you to be able to experience this kind of healing modality?
Well, I have to say that the clients that come to see me are willing to change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I tell everyone, because sometimes I'll have a client that says, my sister's really having problems with this and I want you to fix her.
Where's your magic wand?
Wouldn't it be,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be nice if we could fix everybody?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not our job.
Yeah.
That's not our job. Our job is to take care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we take care of ourselves, our energy field changes and shifts, and that's reflected in the world around us.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, we all have free will. We have free will to choose how we want our life to go. And sometimes we choose difficult lessons like broken bones or maybe illnesses because there's something we can learn from them. We can learn to ask for help. We can learn to have support. We can learn how the people around us love us and really take that in. Because sometimes maybe before that, we just took it for granted.
Or we can have that empathy that we did not ever have, or
Yes,
compassion. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
And the thing that I want everyone to know, and I want your audience to know, is that our ancestors love us.
Mm-hmm.
Our ancestors want us to be healthy and happy and have loving relationships and be successful because, we all make mistakes in our life, right? Nobody's perfect. And our ancestors sometimes didn't have the opportunity to correct those mistakes because of maybe the society, the culture, or the circumstances that they were in. But they want us to have a good life and they're willing to help us. And that's why this works so very, very well.
It does. And it just, like you said, it's teamwork. And just even though we cannot physically see them now, we can experience the spiritual with them. So I know we're going to have to be mindful of our time because our time's going to flip by real fast. So another topic that we were going to touch on is how we have control over our genes and our life path. And so people go, oh, your genes are what you were born with, and this is all that you get. You got to just, accept it.
Yeah, I used to hear that all the time. And when I first started doing this work was around the time that the scientists were studying the Human Genome Project, right? And so in the last 20 years, the field of genetic research has exploded. And what the scientists learned was what indigenous people have known for millennia,
Mm-hmm.
that we can choose how to live our life, what we think, what we feel, what we believe, and how we heal. Epigenetics is the science that says, okay, you have your gene here, and there is this layer of atoms and molecules on top of the genes. And it's not the genes that determine what happens in our lives. Um, our hair color, how tall we are, what illnesses we have, what emotional connections we have. It's that epigenetic layer, because the epigenetic layer is what tells our body what genes to turn on and what genes to turn off. And the beauty of ancestral lineage clearing is that it helps us turn off negative genes that do not serve our life, and to turn on those positive genes of health and happiness and success and all of the good things that we want to draw to us. And we have control over that. And isn't that beautiful?
It is. And yeah, I never heard you say the word easy either. It's like, you know, sometimes, we have some of that resistance. Sometimes it's from us, the
Mm-hmm.
things that we are bringing to the table also. But it is one of those things when you talk about, I love that layer, that when you're talking about the layering of it. Um, it's just, and all the genes, I'm sitting there going, you mean I'm really tall and blonde and willowy?
Yeah, I think we have to decide that when we're a little younger to turn those genes on. I always thought I was going to be tall and willowy, and then I grew and then I stopped.
Oh my goodness. Uh, so tell us a little bit too, so people can understand a little bit more. And I know
Sure.
it is a science and it is a whole life kind of study too. But how it can change the DNA triggers that we inherited, and then being what's being passed on to the next generation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once the scientists found these epigenetic triggers, they started researching what affected those epigenetic triggers.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that affects those epigenetic triggers are things like these deep spiritual meditative experiences where we expand our connection to our ancestors, to the universe, and to what we desire. And then there are studies that show that regular long term meditation not only prevents genetic damage, it heals damaged genes. Like you said, doesn't happen overnight. You can't just meditate once and it's like, okay, I'm going to turn off all my negative genes. It's like, no, it is that practice of being mindful, of being connected, of being at peace that really turns off those triggers of stress, of dissatisfaction, of unhappiness, and other things too affect it, like yoga, right? You were talking about exercising. I exercise. We are in these physical forms on this earth, and we need to take care of it.
Yeah, I
And
tell people
so
move it or lose it.
you got it. You got it. And yoga is again one of those practices that they've studied over 10 or 20 years and have shown that people that engage in yoga regularly repair damaged genes and prevent further damage.
And that's interesting because
Then,
I share with people too, Ariann, that we get new bodies every 6 to 8 years. They're completely
mhm,
regenerating, and there's
yes,
not any one thing that goes into that. I mean, it's awesome to have that nurturing that mind, that body, and that spirit. Um, but people can even take it another level up when you talk about repairing, and so
oh, yeah.
that's something that um, we are such miracles, and we are very complex.
Mhm. Sure, good food, good organic food supports our physical form, and pure air and water. I mean, there have been studies shown that older women over 65 that were living in Los Angeles with all of the air pollution
Mhm.
died 5 years earlier than in any other part of the country. And they had linked it directly to the air pollution.
It is because I mean our bodies are amazing. We've got great filters and organs, and that's why I have been doing some very gentle cleansing for over 17 years because I'm exposed to all those things. I'm very grateful I don't live in Los Angeles though,
Yes,
but we're still combating the things, and even though we're doing all these great things, we still have to combat some of those negative things.
yes. And if you look around to the things that bring you joy,
Mm-hmm.
those also help support your genetic strength, like music, and art in
Mm-hmm.
any form, sculpture, painting, watercolor, movies,
Mm-hmm.
of the positive nature,
Yes,
right?
and I had studied, years ago that people that dance are about 60 to
Yes,
80% less likely to have dementia. So I
yes,
go, put on those happy feet, put on some music and dance. It's great exercise. It's great for your stress relief. It's great for all kinds of things, and it's free.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when we change our mindset, um, and start living from a place of peace and happiness and joy, it supports our physical form, supports our genes, and it supports our lives. Because a lot of us have come from families that were slaves, that were serfs, that had lived in places that had been invaded and lived through the wars and the Depression and all of those kinds of really severe world trauma. And so we grew up listening to those horror stories of the world is a terrible place. It's out to get you. You can't stop it. And that creates a negative mindset that aggravates stress, that aggravates the cells in your body to be on a constant state of alert. And so, if we can learn to live with happiness and positivity and mindfulness,
And
being,
gratefulness.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
definitely gratefulness,
Yeah.
definitely
Mm-hmm.
gratefulness. I wake up every morning and say my gratitude prayers
Oh
for
my
all
God.
of the good that's coming for the day.
I
Um,
know. I love. First thing I do, Ariane, is I wake up, put my feet on the floor, and look out and go, "Yay, Lord, I'm back! What do we get to do today?" It's like, you know, to have that whole mindset of not taking life for granted because we're
yes.
not guaranteed tomorrow. So we better just enjoy the heck out of today.
And that's an attitude to pass on to our descendants, to
Mm-hmm.
pass on to our children and our grandchildren, to say the world is a beautiful place. It loves you, it supports you. The universe is there to fulfill your desires. And, this is a great place to live. And that mindset really just opens up our hearts, minds, and spirits to all of the good things in life.
I agree completely. And so, one of the other things, what are some other things that you can just hear a lot? about when people are coming to you or questioning things, what are some of those main things, Ariann, that they're struggling with?
A lot of people come to me with relationship issues
Mhm.
because they're coming from broken homes or homes where the parents have been fighting and there's been a lot of abuse in the family. And this has come down through generations because, their grandparents had difficult marriages. And in the other side of the family, someone was killed in a war and the family was abandoned, and there were single mothers raising two or three kids on their own and struggling. And so not only do they get the belief that there's no one out there to love them deeply, um, but the belief that it's not possible, and that um, relationships break and there's betrayal. And when you go back and connect with the ancestors, it's like, oh no, dear, let's just heal this. Let's heal this pain in our heart so that we can reach out and know that there's joy and happiness in relationships. It's out there for you. It is true and blessed, and you can have it too.
I am so excited and thankful, Ariane, that you've come just to share just a glimpse because, again, there's things that people don't understand, especially the younger generation, why
Mhm.
they have certain tendencies to do whatever it is. And, things that we have gotten our ancestors, have sowed into our lives. I mean, can't just say, I'm going to be me, I'm going to make my own choices, I'm going to do all these things. Sure, you have free will, but there's things sometimes that are those roadblocks or road speed bumps or whatever you want to call it. And we do can have some make some changes that
Mhm.
can affect those future generations. And um, I just think it's fantastic that you have spent your time and energies and resources to really research and to find out ways not only for yourself and your family, but for so many others too. So, are there any tips or anything that you would love to leave before we get finished up? I knew our time was going to fly, but we
I
might get
know,
a
but it's
part
there
two,
it goes.
So,
Okay.
any other tips?
Um, I'd like to give you my philosophy. When we heal ourselves, we heal our families. And when we heal our families, we heal the world, because our families are the cornerstone of society, of culture, and of the world. And so when we heal and our families heal, we affect the whole. And so that is that's a great incentive to take care of yourself so that you can reflect that out to the world and make the changes in the world you want to see.
It makes a difference. And it's one person at a time. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what is so incredible that we're all so valuable. We're all part of this incredible puzzle of life. So, what is the easiest way for people to get in touch with you and find you?
Well, if you can spell it, go to ancestrallineageclearing.com and you can Google it and you'll get right to my website. And, if you're not so great of a speller, just go to ariannthomas.com and that'll also get you there and get you to my link.
Oh, I think that is so fantastic. And I really encourage everyone to get in touch with Ariane and find out more, especially if you're intrigued and you want to know some things. She will be an incredible guide and person to help you along the journey. And you will just be amazed at the difference that it can make. Because you have to make the effort and you have to take the steps. So before we leave, I really want to encourage everyone to visit some of the other Win Win Women TV shows. We've got about 200 show hosts. And it is a 24/7 evergreen platform that you can go become inspired, find out information, learn new things. Remember, we're lifelong learners. We're always going to continually learn about things that can help us, but more importantly, that can help other people. And join me again, Nancy White, the Healthy Sales Chick. And you can go to my website, The Healthy Sales Chick, and I'd love to hear from you about the ways that you're taking care of your self care so you don't have to depend on health care, but also we're taking care of these temporary temples until we get our permanent maintenance free one. But until the next time we get to be together, I just wish you the very peace and the joy and the love that you so desire and you so deserve. Bye.